What's up, Antichrist Magazine? I am Norman Skinner from Niviane. For those unfamiliar with Niviane, we are a heavy power metal band out of Sacramento, California. We formed in 2014 and we released our first album, The Druid King, in 2017. But we've got a new one for you. Before I get into the new album, there is the one question that we get asked more than anything else. How do you pronounce the band name? We pronounce it Niviane, but in other parts of the world it can be Niviane, and there's other ways of pronouncing it. So pronounce it however you want. For us Americans, it's Niviane. The name comes from Arthurian legend. It's about a woman that tricked Merlin the magician into showing her all of his magic in return for, well, sex. So the new album releases October 30th through Pure Steel Records, is titled The Ruthless Divine. And it is heavy, it is melodic, it is epic. It is 11 tracks of pure, heavy power metal. Lyrically on this album, I used the same approach as I did for the first one. Since we are a heavy power metal band, it's a given that we're going to write about war and history and mythology, and most of the songs incorporate that. There is, the one-off, like for instance, our first single, Fires in the Sky, is very sci-fi themed, has to do with sort of the ancient alien theory. So for all my fellow sci-fi nerds out there, there's a little something for you. Other than that, a majority of the album is just, death and war and rah. So originally when we were recording our first album, The Druid King, we needed some sort of cover art. I did a full internet search of, just cool ass art that I saw that I liked. I put together, I think, 5 different artist portfolios, brought them to the band, didn't tell them anything about who the artist was, how much it cost, how long it would take. I just said, here are our choices, choose the artist that you like, and it was unanimous. We all chose Dusan Markovic. He did a phenomenal job for our first album, The Druid King, and when it came time for the new album, The Ruthless Divine, we went running right back to him. For our first album, we released The Druid King with Pitch Black Records out of Greece. They did a great job. It was a first album for us. They helped us get our name out there. We knew that we needed something a little grander, a little larger the second time around. So when it came time to figure out who was going to release The Ruthless Divine, it was a no-brainer. I had already worked with Pure Steel Records. They released the second album by my band Hellscream, Hate Machine, just last year. And their communication and their work ethic, everything was top notch. So when it came time, I asked them, I said, hey, would you be interested in the new Niviane? And they're like, well, let us hear it. So, okay, here you go. They heard it, they loved it. I do think it's important to have a label deal, and the reason is they usually have much better reach as far as promotion goes and marketing. They already have the contacts. You don't have to work so hard to find where to send your stuff to get reviewed. They have their finger on the pulse of the industry. Aside from that, the distribution's built in. They've already got those channels set up. So it's very, very helpful. There are a lot of labels that don't do anything but press your album and put it out. So it really depends. You could also be stuck with a label that does jack shit for you. So it is good to partner with a reputable label if you can. If not, it's almost better to release it yourself than to deal with some label that's just going to do the bare minimum. So technically I'm in 5 bands right now. The first being Niviane, the second being Imagica, Skinner, Hellscream, and Elementus. And it keeps me busy, and that's the way I like it. I have a lot of ideas always rattling around my head. I'm one of those guys that wakes up in the morning and I'm already thinking about music and stuff. So I need an outlet for that. And I like to do so many different types of styles that I don't want to be locked down. For instance, if you're a guy who's, playing guitar in a thrash metal band, well, you're playing thrash metal. That's what you do. But if you listen to other types of metal or rock or whatever it is, and you want to get that creative outlet out, you're going to have to step outside that band for a majority of the time, right? So you're going to have to go elsewhere. For me, I get to work with multiple musicians. I get to figure out what kind of ideas and songs I have, which would they fit best with, and it's creativity. It's awesome.
Once a soldier, now a modern dream as a coming thing. The infernal fire blasting on any cast upon me. I'm not the son you've been searching for.
Luckily, we didn't have to cancel too much with the COVID pandemic, but of course, everything's now on hold. We did do one streaming concert, and ultimately the band didn't like it. We didn't like the feeling of it. It was weird to us. And we're hoping that this pandemic goes away soon so we can get out live, once again, in front of real people, and have those interactions. Because for us, that's what it's about. I mean, musically, sure, we can play to a camera and, say, hey, check us out, and, maybe try to get money out of it, but that's not what we're about. When we play live, it's to play live. So hopefully everyone's staying healthy and safe and doing the right thing so we can get over this quickly. Epic fails. I don't have too many myself. I mean, I've heard stories from other people. One time, very early in my career, let's talk, I was in my late teens. I was playing a show, and there was a big pit going on. And I remember, pointing like, I'm stage diving. And, I was young and just full of energy. And so I went and I ran, I stage dove, but I dove over like the front of where the people were, and I ended up flying over them into the pit area, and I just hit the concrete. There was no one there to catch me, anything. So that was sort of an epic fail. It took me a while to get back on stage too, because it was so rowdy. Other than that, I've had the occasion where I accidentally stepped on a guitar player's pedal, switching it to a clean channel. Things like that. Forgetting the lyrics of your own song, that's always a sucky thing to happen. But other than that, I've never had anything really grand. I've never broken anything. I've never cut myself open by accident. Nothing like that. I always try to listen to new music. I don't want to be stuck in a rut. Of course, I listen to the classics and the standards. I listen to my personal favorites, but I am always on the lookout for new bands and new stuff all the time. So new things I've been checking out that I've really liked. It's a band called Damnation's Day. Really good stuff out of Australia. More like a progressive band. Very good. There's a band called Novaria that a friend turned me on to recently. I've been listening to. I really dig on them. Out of the States, United States, there's a band called Righteous Vendetta. Really heavy, more modern sounding. Totally dig on them. Sorcerer out of Sweden is a new find to me. So I've been listening to a lot of them lately. So there's always something new. There's always something new. I think the COVID-19 pandemic, other than putting things on hold, I don't personally believe that it'll affect the music scene all that much in the long run. Unfortunately, there are a lot of smaller venues that will be shutting down because they just can't stay closed that long. A lot of bands' tours will have to be postponed, etc. But as soon as we get a hold on this thing, I believe everything's going to go right back to normal the way it was. At first, there will be restrictions, but over time, those restrictions are gonna relax. So in the meantime, you know, all we can do is sit tight. I see that restrictions are starting to be lifted. Unfortunately, here in the States, things were not handled as well as they should have been. So it'll take us a little while longer before we're like allowed to go and tour Europe, etc. So for Niviane, we've got a lot of things going on right now. We just released our single for Fires in the Sky. We also have the music video that just came out. The full album comes out October 30th, and we are working on a new follow-up video for our song Psychomantium. So our fans will have that to look forward to as well. Unfortunately, there are no tour plans in progress right now, but we are keeping our eye open, and we would love to do another national tour and especially get over to Europe because Niviane has yet to go overseas. I want to thank everyone for the support. I want to thank Antichrist Magazine for having me on, and stay tuned. There is a lot more from Niviane coming your way.